and I am reading to you today my column for Global Sovereign Magazine, the March edition. From remission to self-definition. Sitting with my cancer psychologist in the therapy room was extremely clinical, with one plant pot and a water fountain. I remember thinking to myself, if this lady grins and stares at me any harder, her face is going to crack. In a gentle, angelic voice, this frail-looking lady said, "Whatever we discuss today will remain between us and the four walls." "Okay, wonderful," I replied. That felt slightly reassuring, although in these situations, I always think they probe to get information out of you, which always seems so unnatural. So I proceeded to tell her my life history and just do all the talking to save her the extra work. The lady sat in silence and reached a tissue from the box on her desk and apologized, but she needed to take a moment. I asked her if she was okay, and she replied, "Yes, I'm fine, and I'll be with you in a few moments." So there I sat with my legs crossed, twiddling my fingers and my toes anxiously, wondering why, as a psychiatrist, you would start crying in front of your client. I then started to panic and was worrying if she was going to deliver some more unpleasant news, and that is why she's upset. My head was spinning around with all these thoughts, and she took a deep breath and said, "Donia, you're very clearly suffering from post-traumatic growth disorder." "Post-traumatic growth disorder?" I replied, and I burst out laughing, which was rather insensitive on my part, considering the therapist had just been in tears. "Are you sure you don't mean post-traumatic stress disorder? Can you kindly elaborate further, please, as I'm a little unsure what you mean, doctor," I replied. "Yes, of course," replied the psychologist. "Only a minority of the population experience this, and it's a positive personality change following traumatic life events. With the life events you've been through, it's prevalent to develop post-traumatic stress disorder or other mental health difficulties. But thankfully for you, it has excelled in the other direction." "Oh, great. Well, that sounds positive," I replied, and to know I wasn't losing my mind from a professional was somewhat comforting. Words post-traumatic growth disorder ingrained into me, and since then I've just been on an upward spiral, and I've learned along my journey to say yes to myself without any hesitations. I launched Tiny Angels Press Limited, which is very close to my heart, and never in a million years did I think prior cancer diagnosis I would be starting my very own publishing house. The right people and the right solutions presented themselves to me to fulfill my desire to help other cancer patients to enter a new reality. Tiny Angels Press and the book series I'm currently working on is not just another book, but an entirely new social concept. I found that once I left the hospital bed and was given the all clear precisely a year from diagnosis, there are no programs available to enroll once patients are in remission. I remember my cancer specialist nurse said to me that you would probably feel low once all your active treatment ends. And with this in mind, I had the ammunition then to find other ways to naturally bring myself up and not allow myself to go down. So I dreamt big, and my attitude became, well, if I can beat cancer and come so close to death, I can pretty much accomplish most things in my life now. Since my cancer diagnosis, I certainly feel more compassion towards others, and I want to give everyone an opportunity to fulfill their dreams. Storytelling to me is medicine, and it gives you a purpose, and I firmly believe people affected by cancer deserve a better chance to define themselves by contributors in society and not victims. For me, all my femininity was stripped, including the opportunity of having any more children. So self-identity to me is crucial. Helping others validate a new reality and communicate the wisdom they gain from their journey is something every cancer patient, in my opinion, should be offered, whether a child or an adult, as there is no discrimination with cancer. So this is why I set up my publishing house, so I could help give this aftercare platform for others and to empower them. So thank you all for listening into my second column for the Sovereign Global magazine. I would love to invite you to April's edition, and this is going to be a very exciting edition as we are launching out in Switzerland. So please do join us back for April's edition.